Good morning to all. To begin with, let us have a silent prayer for a few seconds. Thank you to all. Today, 9th June 2021 is an auspicious day for our department because Department of English conducts a national level virtual seminar on Indian writing in English, publication and research. Indian literature in general has a glorious past. Our Vedas, Puranas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Tamil classics, Tolkappiyam, Tirukkural, Silappatikaram, and Manimekalai go back to the prehistoric period. Thus, our literature is senior and superior to any other literature in the world. With the arrival of colonizers and with the introduction of English education during the 19th century, our people have begun to write in English also. Because creative activity is there in our blood. And according to T.S. Eliot, for the progress of creation, criticism is also very significant. In his essay, Tradition and Individual Talent, he has mentioned that criticism is as essential as breathing. In this regard, it can be said that on one side, the writers are busy in the production of poetry, fiction, drama, prose, etc. And on another side, there is a proliferation of critical works in the form of books, articles, and dissertation, theses, and of course, seminars and webinars. And our resource person, Dr. P.V. Lakshmi Prasad, with his innumerable publication, is a typical example for the development of critical field in English. In order to felicitate and bless us, our beloved principal, Dr. V. Anuradha Madam Amma has come. She has actually made our lockdown online classes and the usual holiday month May a busy and serious, but at the same time pleasant and a rich one, but meaningful period. Then our HOD ma'am, Dr. G.S. Angeline ma'am, who is uh, both an erudite scholar and a woman of rich experience in the academic field, is a role model for all younger faculty in disciplined administration and academic activities. Her own sincere involvement in department activities and hard work is in fact a moral booster and tonic for the faculties. Now, I request our HOD Madam Dr. G.S. Angeline to deliver welcome address. Please, ma'am.
Respected dignitaries, learned professors, scholars, and students from our own department and from various departments and institutions. It is my proud privilege to welcome you to this webinar on Indian writing in English, publication and research, organized by the Department of English, M.V. Muthaiya Government Arts College for Women, Dindigul. First of all, I would like to welcome our principal, who has been supporting and encouraging us in all our endeavors. We are fortunate to have such an eminent leader who is amiable, unassuming, and approachable. I have immense pleasure in welcoming her, who has kindly consented to give the presidential address. My hearty welcome to you, madam. It is my special privilege to welcome the resource person of our webinar, Dr. P.V. Lakshmi Prasad, Assistant Professor of English, Satavahana University, Telangana. He is a poet, critic, editor, and reviewer. One can find The combination of creative and critical faculties in him. He has published 120 poems and he has 70 published articles and 55 published book reviews to his credit. He has done 5 translations and has taken 6 interviews. He has published 23 books. His articles have found appropriate places in UGC care-listed journals and in national and international journals. He has presented research papers in national and international seminars and conferences. His areas of specialization include Indian writing in English, English language teaching, film literature, and contemporary theater. We are fortunate to have such an eminent personality, scholar, and a stalwart in literature. I render you an enthusiastic welcome, sir. My amiable welcome to all the members of different faculties and institutions. I render a very warm welcome to all the scholars and students for whose benefit this webinar has been organized. Once again, I welcome you one and all. Thank you. Kartika? Kartika?
கார்த்திகா
Kartika Devi?
உள்ள இருக்கீங்களாம்மா? கார்த்திகா
இல்லன்னு நினைக்கிறேன் மேம். கேட்டாங்க.
Ma'am, shall we proceed to the presidential address, ma'am?
எஸ்மா கார்த்திகா தேவி
மேம் லெஃப்ட் ஆயிட்டாங்க மேம். 100 பார்ட்டிசிபென்ட்ஸ்னால அவங்க மறுபடியும் உள்ள வர்றது கொஞ்சம் கஷ்டம் மேம். வந்துருவாங்க மேம்.
அதனால வெளியே நிக்கிறாங்களா?
Yes, ma'am.
ஓகே, ஒரு வார்த்தை சொல்லிடுங்க, நான் பிரசிடென்ட்.
May I now request our principal to give the presidential address?
Thank you, ma. Good morning, one and all. Hope all are doing well. I am very much privileged to preside over this national webinar on Indian writing in English, publication and research. It's my immense pleasure to welcome our chief guest, Dr. P.V. Lakshmi Prasad, who is rendering service as Associate Professor in English, University Arts College, Sadhwad. Rabindranath Tagore, Sarojini Naidu, Mulk Raj Anand, R.K. Narayan, Salman Rushdie, Arundhati Roy. But this platform is going to analyze publication and research point of view. If my memory is correct, we all caused wonderful sessions on project writing, step 1 and step 2, just 20 days back. Now we are in this platform. Writing is an art that we all know, but writing a matter in research or publication point today, our eminent scholar, Dr. P.V. Lakshmi Prasad, will clear all our doubts, I hope. I would like to appreciate Dr. Angeline H. and wish the webinar to a successful one. And also, I would like to convey my appreciations to Dr. K. M. Sumati, Department of English, IQAC coordinator of our college, and Dr. K. Ramasamy, our college librarian, and as well as IQAC deputy coordinator. I extend my wishes to my beloved students and hope you all will utilize this session properly. Sir, please do come to our MVM College, Dindigul, in person after this pandemic period. Thank you, one and all.
Has Kartika joined? KJ, has Kartika joined? Kartika?
Angeline ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Angel, அடுத்த
Ma'am,
சீஃப் கெஸ்ட் தான் பேசுறாங்கன்னா நீங்க கூப்பிடுங்க.
ஆமா, சீஃப் கெஸ்ட் தான் பேசுறாங்க. கூப்பிட்றவா?
ஏன்னா கார்த்திகா ஜாயின் பண்ண முடியலன்றீங்க.
ஓகே.
இப்போ என்னோட பிரசிடென்ஷியல் ஆடியோ இருந்ததா?
இருந்துச்சு மேம். இருந்துச்சு.
ஓகே. ஓகேம்மா, ஓகே.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Let us continue.
Sir, dear participants, the awaited moment has come. May I request our chief guest to address the audience. Over to our chief guest.
Okay. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. And a very good morning to all. Respected principal, V. Mukya Government Arts College for Women, Dindigul, Tamil Nadu, and respected HOD, Dr. Angelina GS, head and convener of this one-day webinar, and Dr. R. Kartika Devi, organizing secretary of this webinar, and learned professors, scholars, students, and teachers from other states who have joined this webinar. A warm welcome to this virtual meet, and I'm really thankful to the organizers for putting me as the resource person for today's webinar, and I'm really humbled by the way I was introduced to the participants, and I'm very thankful to Dr. Angelina GS for her nice introduction, and so many thanks, ma'am. And as the convener introduced me, and the theme of this virtual webinar will focus on Indian writing in English, publication and research. So, before I venture into presentation, I want to give you a brief introduction of why I have chosen this particular topic. And this topic, Indian writing in English, is body of world literature, publication and research. So publication and research go hand in hand. There is no iota of doubt about it, because they go together in making what you call production of literature, production of books, or production of something immortal literature. But research and publication go hand in hand. They go together in the making of this production, immortal production or eternal contribution. Okay. Why I chose this topic when Dr. R. Karthikeyan contacted me on phone and left it to my choice, because we are now passing through the world's most ever global crisis, that is corona pandemic. All we are doing these days, of course, online lectures, online webinars, and online teaching. So we have been exposed, or we have been forcibly made to conduct, online meets, online teaching, or online classes. Okay. What is it that makes me so choosy about literature and research? Okay, we are scattered throughout the world in distant places. We cannot meet face to face. But given the situation, I have decided to engage a talk on publication and research. Why publication is or has so much to do with the research? Because without research, there is no publication. And without publication, there is no research. So they go together to produce what we call production or publication. What is research? Why do we research? And what are the objectives of research? So I think there may be scholars from among these participants. Of course, students may have their projects as part of their MA curriculum. So when you undertake a study or case study or any research paper that you want to contribute, you have to do some research. But what is basically a research? What do you mean by research? So a research can be defined in technical ways, sometimes beyond what we mean in the perspective of some ideas or some investigations or critical analysis. But beyond that, what is research? So research, you are doing some search on something which is already existing there in the world. What is research? You are doing some search on which something is already existing there in the universe. So if I give you an easy example in order to make you understand the basic concept of research. What is America today? America is nothing for us today without Columbus. So Columbus discovered America. What do you mean by discovered? The land of America was already existing there. But Columbus explored that land. This land is suitable for human habitation. Though it is surrounded by 7 seas, it is still fit for human habitation. So the credit goes to Columbus, who first discovered America. So the land was already there, but Columbus explored that land in order to find out that there is scope for human habitation. Until then, America was nothing. So just as what Columbus did in the case of his exploration on sea voyages, he discovered America. So our research is to find out what is there, what is already existing there in the universe. When we come to literature, what is research? You are investigating on something from different perspectives. From different perspectives means something new, something innovative, something experimental. Maybe I may have my own taste about coffee. Somebody may have his or her own taste about Boost. But each of us differs according to our taste. So when we go by the taste, even literature gives us so many dimensions as to how to approach the text from different critical perspectives or theories or whatever you may call. But when you go at a higher level to analyze the text, you may apply a theory based on your analysis, based on your investigation. But at basic level, what you have to do as a researcher is to investigate what hypothesis is there. What do you mean by hypothesis? a hypothesis is used to make some predictions. So just as we are making a hypothetical study about the origins of coronavirus, it is not yet established. Some people may claim that it is, but it is intentionally leaked from Wuhan Institute of Virology. It was accidentally leaked from the so-called animal bats, but we haven't clearly established the facts or ascertaining the origins of the coronavirus. We are still making an hypothetical study because I am writing a memoir on corona pandemic. I am writing it now. So to ascertain my own facts into the book, I need some evidence. What do you mean by that evidence? Without evidence, you cannot substantiate your arguments in favor of what you are writing something or what you are going to prove as a research scholar. Ultimately, the evidences will establish, as a solid proof of your genuine work. So, as I give you this example of corona origins, it is not established. It is still at hypothetical state. So, what is it that you get the hypothesis? First, you get the doubts. For example, I am a stranger in a land called Tamil Nadu. I am a stranger. So I need to inquire somebody on the road. I may inquire a policeman or a passerby in order to reach my destination. What is it that I begin with? I begin with a doubt, or I begin with an inquiry. And somebody will guide me as to how to reach the government arts college in Dindigul. So some people will give me directions based on which I will approach. I will reach. So what is my first area of research? The moment I reach the bus station, I have to find out the ways and means by which I reach the government arts college in Dindigul. So that is my destination. So each or whatever research that you do has some objectives, some destination, and some hypothetical study. And between these two important, areas, you have to have solid evidence in order to prove what you are really working on. So what you have to do? So you have so many sources in the world. You have digital sources, you have library sources, you have e-sources. Okay, forget them. You are all aware of these sources. But when you deal with the research, what is actually research? So research, all progress of mankind actually is born out of some, inquiry. Is born out of some inquiry. So doubt is often the first pillar over the areas of confidence or satisfaction, and finally it leads to inquiry, and inquiry leads to discoveries. So without doubts, you don't approach anything in the initial phase. But as things progress, you take the research forward, and a stage comes wherein you take the help of somebody, some material as the source or data or something else, and finally you inquire into what actually happens into the whole gamut of issues. Just as we are passing through this corona pandemic times, we have so many explosions, we have so many explorations about the corona politics, how vaccination is really at what stage now. So there were so many stages. Now we are still to be vaccinated. The country is yet to be vaccinated. So we are still in the stage of vaccination. But where did we begin in 2019? The origins of the coronavirus. Again, it spreads throughout the world. Until then, it was only epidemic. Now it has assumed pandemic proportions. It is global crisis. So from epidemic to pandemic. Why I take this example in order to make you understand better the study of coronavirus has something more than what we actually do in research as part of these literary studies or literature, because it is what we are experiencing now. You are an insider who are really experiencing the dangers or the challenges or the implications of coronavirus. You are an insider now. You are not outsiders. But who are the outsiders? Maybe children. Children of this generation may be outsiders because they are children. They just enjoy it. But as adults, we are the eyewitnesses of this corona pandemic. So at what stage did we begin in 2019? At what stage are we now in 2021, maybe 9th June today? So as things progress, maybe after 1 or 2 years, things will turn out to be in some other dimension, some other direction. So if you undertake research for this pandemic, there are so many dimensions. There are so many step-by-step procedures. So just as what we discussed, the research, the initial phase of research, each or every research follows step-by-step procedure, without which you don't jump to proper conclusions. If you cross over or at a sudden pace, your research will again come back to the stage where you actually have begun. So research is a systematic study of investigation and critical inquiry in what you are or what you want to explore into some idea or some problem or some critical challenge. So just as I have given you this example, into this pandemic crisis, the origins of virus are not yet known. It is yet to be established with authentic source. We need some proof, we need some evidences. But what is research? Research is something fundamental. Research is something, investigation into some unexplored, unverified data. You are yet to verify the data. Okay, you may use the other sources available. Okay, there are primary sources, there are secondary sources. Your supervisors will direct you, will guide you as to how to approach the research. But fundamentally, what is research is a step-by-step analysis into what you are investigating. So your research first begins with some fundamental questions, fundamental inquiries, fundamental examination. Okay, and what is the proper methodology? What are the objectives of it? There should be some objective. Without objective, you don't work out. You don't work out to take to a what I should say, a justified conclusion, a reasonable conclusion. When you want to reach the conclusive phase of your research, you must have solid evidences. So objectives are clear cut. Objectives should be well defined. What you are exploring from a given source. For example, there are so many theories. When you take literature, I just narrate a few examples taken from some theories. Most of the MS theories, I think, focuses on theories, literary theories. For example, when you read a text, for example, Kaveri Nambison's novel, which is replete with eco-critical consciousness. So what is eco-criticism? What is eco-critical literature? How many eco-critics are there? How many novels deal with eco-critical consciousness? Finally, you are doing some systematic study as to deal with the writers, the works, and finally the critics are the second resources, because you are examining the whole issue from different dimensions. If somebody has already worked on Kaveri Nambison's novels, you may take them, for example, as citations. You may take them, for example, some references, and then you may cite those sources. And when you take up such citations, they may be classified as secondary sources, and you may cite them. And when you cite them, it means your work will be an authentic one. Because if you do without citations, that will, what I can say, comes under the challenges or problems of plagiarism. Now, plagiarism is ruling the publishing world. As you are all aware of this, challenge. It is not just confined to India; it is confined to throughout the world. So, plagiarism is the first challenge that any researcher has to face with. If he or she wants to publish anything, whether it is book, research paper, or book review, your piece of writing will be scrutinized thoroughly with a what I should say, that anti-plagiarism software checker. So any book publisher, author, or editor of the journal will have to will be required to undergo this rigorous anti-plagiarism checker, without which that won't be taken up for publication. Okay, this is we all know, and we all pretty know well that this is mandatory. So what was once research during the times of pre-independent India and post-independent India, these two phases witnessed significant landmarks, significant changes when you look at the whole gamut of issue of publishing in two different worlds, pre-independent India, post-independent India. If I remind you, for example, Tagore belongs to pre-independent. Sarojini Naidu, for example, other Indian writers who belong to pre-independent. They had no such technical know-how, technical advancement. They had no anti-plagiarism software in those days, but they produced brilliant pieces because of their academic honesty, because of their academic values. So, of course, they belong to pre-independent generation of writers. They were creative writers. Of course, the pre-independent era witnessed, some scholarly contributions by Professor K.R. Srinivas Iyengar, Professor C.D. Narasimhaiah, Professor Meenakshi Mukherjee, Professor M.K. Nayak, Professor Jasbir Jain, and others, to name a few others. I don't get them right now. They are stalwart critics. Even if you look at critical perspectives, they produce brilliant pieces. Even Professor Iyengar's work, Indian writing, is still considered a masterpiece. Why do we refer to the text? Because it's a masterpiece. We refer to the text and we cite certain comments from Iyengar's book, and that becomes a citation. So that book gets thousands of citation impacts. If you look at the citation impacts of that particular book, it has received some thousands of impacts because Professor K.R. Iyengar has surveyed the literature from different dimensions: novel, poetry, short story, fiction, everything. So he has surveyed. And Professor C.D. Narasimhaiah, Meenakshi Mukherjee, Professor M.K. Nayak, another stalwart. So even in pre-independent India, such great stalwart produced brilliant masterpieces in Indian writing in English. Of course, the credit goes to Professor K.R. Srinivas Iyengar, Professor C.D. Narasimhaiah, who championed and who coined this term Indian writing in English. Of course, the credit undoubtedly goes to those two stalwarts, and another stalwart from Karnataka, Annaya Gowda, if I remember his name rightly, and another great stalwarts, of course, have been taught by great professors in my parent university, Professor Lakshman, great stalwarts. So those were the great stalwart critics apart from the creative writers like Tagore, Sarojini, Hariknath Chattopadhyay, Jivananand, and others. When you come to South India, there are so many writers, there are so many poets and drama playwrights. But pre-independent India had no such problems and no such challenges. We appreciate those works. We still cite those works without any problems. But post-independent India has, witnessed all these challenges. Even when you look at the perspectives of research, say after 2000, there were so many changes. I don't attribute these changes to for good cause or for bad cause. Of course, we academicians are responsible for this sorry state of affairs. But with the advent of the computer technology, most people, I don't blame the system, I don't blame the individuals. We indulge ourselves in, what I should say, irregularities. Suddenly, we have, put the blame, and finally, where are we now? We are at a stage where our research papers, our books, our reviews are subject to proper checks by anti-plagiarism software. Now we are facing this challenge of plagiarism. Maybe after 2000, after year 2000, until 2000, there were no such challenges. But what happened later, say after 2000, there were dramatic changes in the publishing world. So there was a mushroom growth of journals. There was mushroom growth of journals. But I caution you here, as a scholar or as an everyday learner, that in the West, they go by certain principles, and all those research papers or books or whatever you publish there will be subject to rigorous scrutiny by a team of by a panel of experts or by a team of examiners. So by why do they do this work? Because post 2000 witnessed so many unprecedented, unexpected, bad, developments in the publishing. So research now was at crossroads. Then experts in the area have identified certain software check, anti-plagiarism checkers. Finally, your paper is subject to checkers. Apart from that, there is what we call the Government of India under the Ministry of Human Resource Development established a regulatory body. Now we have in India a regulatory body, UGC Care Enlisted Panel. So Consortium for Academic and Research Ethics. So we have now come to brand ourselves under Care Regulatory Body. So ethics, what do you mean by ethics? Academic honesty, academic integrity, academic principles. Now we have our papers controlled by a regulatory body, which is Care and Research Journals. Most of the people who are working in other institutions, say IITs and other private institutions, demand Scopus indexed publications. I come to that at a later stage. But these are regulatory bodies. So why do they have to monitor our papers for publication? Because of those irregularities, because of the unexpected changes or developments. Sometimes we call them, whether it is for good or for bad cause, we are responsible. We have to take the responsibility. So as scholars or as researchers, we have to take a moral responsibility. That is why we have to reach a stage where our papers are subject to scrutiny. Okay. But what was research in pre-independent India? What is research in post-independent India? Because research has more to do with the publication. When you research something on illegal routes, your published status will also get some bad status or bad image in the world. Because anyway, when you go back to the pre-independent India, where there was no such complaints of plagiarism, but post-independent India has witnessed all these developments. So what is research today? Research is subject to honesty, research is subject to good image, good values, good principles. Okay, we are what we are, but we were, we are still, struggling. We are still struggling as genuine researchers. So you have Carnegie softwares, okay, well and good. Editors will scrutinize, okay, they publish, and you get away with your PhD degree and you get away with a contribution for cash promotions and others. That's good, but your contribution doesn't, end up with your paper publications or book publications. The time of the hour is to uphold the honesty and integrity and principles in the publishing world. Now, where are we now? Let us take it as our moral duty to uphold the principles of publishing world, because your research has more to do with the publication. What was research in the pre-independent India? So if I remind you to those ancient days of when we had some internationally reputed universities like Takshashila and Nalanda universities, which were primarily focused on research. Of course, even if you go back to the Indian system of Ayurvedic medicine, the father of Ayurvedic medicine, for example, Charaka Maharshi, you go back to those days and come back again into what we are now 21st century. There was a great deal of difference in the way that we published, that we undertake research, because the initial phase of research, was more genuine, was more holistic, and was more centered towards the growth and development of the society. So ultimately, your research should contribute to the development of the society. What is your contribution? If, for example, if you have 100 publications, 100 book publications, that should contribute to the society. But where are we now? We are at crossroads now. We are not what we were supposed to be. Maybe if I take back to the days of Professor Iyengar, Professor Narasimhaiah, Professor Annaiah Gowda and others, Professor M.K. Nayak. So what they did, what we are doing, is makes a big impact on the kind of publications that we do in the current global market. But technology has innovated the book publishing, market. If you look at the ratio, the percentage of book publishing, even after 2020, the year after the corona pandemic began, it stands between 10 to 12%. Between 2021 and 2020, now we are in 2021. Between 10 and 12%, there was a rapid rise in the publication of books, the publication of journals, thanks to the technology, because it is now we are using internet, we are using a desktop or laptop, and all great publishing houses have this software, and they have established printers, binding technology, and they publish. They don't look at lockdown to go away. They publish. You order, you send the manuscript, and that will be published. But what about those great stalwarts whom I have discussed? They struggled a lot. There were manual typewriters. They typed it. They used to send it to the publisher. They used to correct them, and it took nearly 1 to 2 years. 1 to 2 years. But what about the publishing status now? It will be finished within 15 to 30 days, at most 3 working months. But if you publish the same book in USA or in UK or other Western countries, they usually take 1 to 3 years. Because I have, from the experience, I have published in UK. I have published 3 or 4 books, if I remember. They took more than 1 year. They took more than 1 year, and the file reverted to me as many as 13 times. As many as 13 times. And thank the editor. I thank the editor that I have learned a lot from the way I was guided to proofread, edit, and whatever manner I could do, I did to the best satisfaction of the American publisher. They don't publish everything that you send to the publisher. They scrutinize, they thoroughly scrutinize this manuscript, and it will be approved by a panel of experts. Only then you will be given the contract to sign, and after which they will keep on reverting the files for corrections, for editings, and for proofreadings. So, in the Western countries, if you want to publish a book, they usually take 1 to 2 years. But in the Indian scenario, it may hardly take 6 weeks, 6 months. But there are what I can say self-publishing houses which claim that your book will be published within 15 to 30 days. Okay, that's good. But what about the quality publication? Because research has more to do with the publication of book. Now, when you look at the falling standards in research, you face or you experience the same falling standards in the production of the book. Ultimately, what image do you get at the end of the product? So when you don't cite, when you don't edit properly, when you don't proofread the text thoroughly, there are, your book will receive a very bad image from the critics. Finally, who will you blame? Either you blame the publisher or you have to blame yourself. But even the Indian scenario, before pre-independence, those scholars really struggled to publish books, really struggled to undertake research. They published more than 20 books, 30 books in those days. I still imagine how they could publish so many books without the advent of science and technology. But we have in our hands the advent of science and technology. We publish papers, we publish books, we publish papers. Now we are living in a digitalized world. We are living in a digitalized world, just as you are listening to my lecture on virtual meet. So, post-pandemic period, say after 5 or 6 years, what would be the fate of research and publication? What would be the fate of research and publication? Just as I started with my US publisher in Washington, he hinted at a possible virtual online teaching, a possible online e-Kindle edition. There will be no printed editions in future. There will be no printed publications. There will be no e-book publications. All that will be available, say after 5 or 6 years, will be Kindle editions only. Then what should I do? For example, I am interested in printed works, printed books. So you have to change with the changing times. The times are demanding, the times are challenging. So you can, do away with investment in book publication. You can do away with everything, for binding, for printing. Yes, you can save your money. But e-Kindle edition, it is available on the publisher's website, on Amazon, on Flipkart, on Infibeam, Leopard, everything you can access. You can access those Kindle editions maybe after 5 or 6 years. This is what I learned from my friend in Washington. He's a publisher. And say after 5 years, what would be the scenario of Indian publishing world? Now, there is no depth of publishing houses in India. We have the #1 top publishers who are ranked on par with Penguin, Random House, HarperCollins, and other, Oxford publishers. Okay, they bring out quality product, they bring out excellent products in time. But when you compare the productions, the Indian productions with the Western products, I see a vast change. I see a big difference in the way we produced, in the way we produced in India, in the way we produce something in Western products. And another important dimension too, is what I observed that in the West, they are book lovers. They love reading books. They read books. They purchase books. They are book lovers. But unlike those Western readers, Indian readers are comparatively less than what I find, say, to the Western readers. I mean, when I take up with the Western readers, because in the Indian scenario, there aren't many readers to say, for example. Of course, there are readers. I don't say that reading is a dead habit, but reading hasn't died down even in this e-publishing scenario. But there are readers without which you don't publish papers or books. There are readers. But when you compare them with the Western readers, the reading percentage has come down a bit on a comparative basis. I don't attribute the reasons for this failure in the reading habits. So, with the advent of science and technology, with the social media, most of the Indians I find are comparatively, readers far below than the Western readers. Because you have WhatsApp, you have Facebook, you have other social medias, you can download, you can go to internet, you can Google search and you can download. Hardly I find, critics or, contributors who write something with a pen on a piece of paper. They do everything on a computer. They type and they send it to the publisher. So, because the technology has eased our physical labor, and we are now in the fashion that we use technology, digital technology. Okay, but digital technology is both boon and bane. It is acting as both boon and bane. If you use it thoroughly, use it properly, okay, it will give us, positive results. And if you misuse it, say as I, just as regulatory bodies which impose UGC, Care Research Journals, Scopus journals, and other peer-reviewed journals, then again it is really a bane for us. So boon or bane. But digital era has eased our labor, but at the same time, digital era has, made us, what I should say, slaves. So in turn, we resort to certain irregularities. But publishing house has found out that the papers without plagiarism, if published, again create problems for the editors, create problems for the contributors, create problems for the publishers. So all book publishers insist on plagiarism reports. Some insist on 10%, 20%, depending on the choice. But in order to avoid plagiarism, it is suggested that you follow citations. When you quote a comment from K.R. Srinivas Iyengar's book, Indian Writing List, you cite the page, you cite the author's name or the book name. That doesn't show that you have actually plagiarized. So in turn, you claim that you are genuine scholar. But don't claim that something is your own idea. Don't plagiarize somebody's ideas as your own. So don't do any such plagiarism. Okay. But we are living in a digitalized world. We are using science and technology, but we are using some wrong routes in order to get this publicity image. Yes, this is been going on in the country. That's why UGC has constituted a regulatory body by name UGC Registered Journals. Of course, you are all aware of that list, which is subject to continuation and discontinuation for every 6 months. Some journals have received that status after which they have been discontinued. It's a routine matter for the scholars. They have to update. They have to update the journals whether they are enlisted or whether they are discontinued. But it's a challenge. It's a challenge. Earlier it was UGC approved. Later it was redesignated as a UGC registered. But research is the thrust area which demands your honesty, which demands your sincerity and values or principles, without which publication will get you something like a bad name, something like a bad name. So if research leads to publication of papers or publication of books or publication of videos or publication of some issue-based, what I should say, some serials or some glimpses. So we follow some ethics. That is why Consortium for Academics and Research Ethics. So now ethics is the fulcrum of Indian publishing scene. Without ethics, you don't survive. Even those journals which were discontinued had published 50 papers in one issue. Later that went to the notice of the UGC registered one. They discontinued the journal. I don't name them on this platform, but we are responsible for this sorry state of affairs. What was the state of there were two prominent journals in pre-independent India. What were those journals? Bharati and Triveni. Bharati and Triveni were belong to pre-independent India because great scholars like Jawaharlal Nehru, Sarojini Naidu, Rabindranath Tagore, Sri Aurobindo, P.V. Narasimha Rao, M. Chalapathi Rao, these greats, even K.R. Srinivasa Iyengar, also C.T. Narasimha, have published their scholarly papers in Bharati and Triveni. And I remember Bharati did not survive, could not survive, but Triveni could survive against heavy odds. Triveni is now published from Hyderabad, and it is still published. It's a quarterly issue. They didn't follow any methodology, just as we follow like MLA methodology, Modern Language Association. We have several branches like MLA, APA, Chicago Manual Style. Of course, we have to follow different methodologies whenever we have to asked to follow certain methodology for indexing, for citations and other things. But they didn't follow any methodology. Even methodology didn't exist, according to my knowledge. But post-independent India had so many, conditions. Like you have to follow MLA 5th edition, 7th edition. Now 9th edition has come out. Of course, I was thorough with 7th edition. As I was beginning to learn 8th edition, now 9th edition has joined the market. Now I have to follow 9th edition. So there was no methodology in those days. They simply followed footnotes and they published. The content was really scholarly. If you look at the content, that was genuine, that was scholarly, that was outstanding. Because those scholars didn't follow methodology. If at all, they followed only footnotes or references. But their content was extraordinary, and highly critical, and highly explorative, and highly analytical. But what about the current status, research, current standards in research now? Because we try to imitate what others have imitated, we follow, but ultimately, those two journals which I named, Bharati and Triveni, they used to be regular issues because they instilled in the Indians a kind of nationalistic spirit. The spirit of the journal was to instill nationalism in the minds of the Indians. So the great writers used to contribute scholarly papers. If you want to read those papers, which are still available on in these on websites, I leave that website's name. And this Triveni was established in 1927. Why I mention this particular journal when compared to what you may call a Scopus Index Journal or UGC Index Journal, because those great stalwarts published those papers in these journals. So Triveni was established in 1927. 1927. It was published from Hyderabad. Even now it is published from Hyderabad, the headquarters of the journal. And Bharati used to be in circulation until maybe late 50s, if I remember rightly. Because those great stalwarts, I read those papers, even papers by Jawaharlal Nehru, M. Chalapathi Rao, Sri Aurobindo, Tagore, and others. I tell you one interesting thing. If I remember rightly, that was an article by my teacher, Professor S. Lakshmanamurthy, retired professor of English, Harvard University, and he published a paper on Wordsworth poetry, and that paper came into 37 pages. Can you believe a research paper in as many as 35 pages? You don't believe it. But those were the times when the editor took care to publish only one paper in one issue. So it was extensively written, it was extensively researched, explorative, analytical, investigative, thoroughly investigative. The moment I read that article, I had a full view of what Wordsworth is all about as a nature poet. Then scores of other papers were published, which were published in Bharati and Triveni, had long pages. But what is the length of the research paper in today's publishing world? The journal editor insists on us to restrict ourselves to say 3,000 word limit or 7 or 8 pages. So I think that doesn't do justice to a scholar who genuinely wants to explore more and more on that particular writer or work. But those were the journals which accommodated more space to the scholars, and those journals are still cited. They are still cited for ready-made references as secondary sources. But the content was extraordinary. Methodology, don't care about methodology in those times. But scholars like Jawaharlal Nehru, Sarojini Naidu, Sri Aurobindo, extraordinary scholar. But when you compare those papers, in particular the content that was part of those papers, and the content of today's research world is comparatively lesser, is comparatively of poor quality. I don't put the blame on individual contributors. Of course, I too take the blame as a researcher. Why? Because we don't investigate into the work as a full researcher, as a full-time scholar. We publish the trash and we leave this world and we get the score to our credit and we end up there as a scholar. That doesn't prove to be a genuine scholarship. What we have to do is to probe thoroughly into one element where it exists. For example, as I have told you, in one particular novel, somebody may explore some post-colonial perspectives. Somebody may explore I may explore something like feminism. So you may read the novel, some elements, and use secondary sources if possible. And citations are very, very important in the current publishing world, where without citations you have to justify your arguments. For justification, you have to support your paper with solid arguments, and ultimately your conclusion should justify it, and that should match the title of your paper, the content, and ultimately conclusion. Everything should go hand in hand. Cohesion is very, very important in this. So anyway, your paper is evaluated by a team of experts. If it is a UGC Career Research Journal or say a Scopus Index Journal. For example, I published a paper in UGC Career, and so the editor reverted my paper, and I used to correct it according to the citations, according to methodology, according to the word length of the paper. So these are necessary or mandatory requirements if you want to publish the paper in UGC Career Institute or other Scopus Index data of the service. Okay, that's well and good. But when you deal with a particular element, when you want to explore something, you have to undertake a serious research into what our ancestors or our predecessors did in terms of what you are working on. You have to go to the library, You have to visit the library, collect the books, primary sources and secondary sources, and read your original work extensively, and then come back and compare and do some analytical study, comparative study, and finally you have to incorporate whatever justifications you want to do in support of your arguments. Finally, your research becomes an original research. Only when you incorporate certain citations and when you use your own language. And for any research scholar, don't use decorative language or ornamental language. You use simple language. Use simple language, use simple vocabulary. Just impress the examiners with solid evidence of secondary sources. Justify whatever arguments you have with those critical comments, just as I have mentioned in the case of Professor Iyengar, Professor C.V. Najmia, Meenakshi Mukherjee, Nayak. Those are stalwart critics. Of course, you have second generation of critics. So you may justify your arguments in support of your research, just as you want to explore something, but your research should become something original. When your research should become something original, others will cite your paper. When others will cite your paper means your paper will get what I should say impact ratings, universal impact ratings. So I have received good feedback from Google Scholar citations, from impact factor citations. I don't claim that I'm what I did, not out of out of my scholarship. I put it sincerely that I have received certain citations only for those papers what they did think are considered excellent or good papers. But you don't think that all your papers will get, impact factor citations or, Google Scholar citations. You can Google my name on Google Scholar citations, you will get the citation score. But in the 21st century or after 2015, what the scholars throughout the world insisted that any scholar is to have Google Scholar citations, impact factor citations, and top world rankings, Thomson Reuters citations. Or if you wish to find out my scores, just go to Google search and type my name, P.B. Lakshmi Prasad. You get a good score. I need not, mislead you on this score. You type my name. For example, I type somebody's name. I can find out the scores. So, Google Scholar citation is something that you get good recognition for the scholarly contributions of your research papers. When your research scholar is considered extraordinary, they will put your paper on Google Scholar site, impact factor journals. So the journal gets, cited by international, factors. If your paper is cited by as many as critics or as many authors or book reviewers, you will get a good impact. So publish your papers in such journals that genuinely gets good recognition, either by impact factor journals or by other, Google Scholar citations. So publication is more to do with genuineness, academic honesty, academic integrity, the academic principles. When you publish something, you will be labeled as a writer or as a critic or as an author. So you deserve what you should deserve. So on this note, I end up my brief analytical one, and I convey my thanks to the organizers, in particular to the principal, to the convener, and to Dr. Kartika Devi, organizing secretary, for this wonderful opportunity. And I also convey my thanks to all the participants for being with me for 45 or 50 minutes. And I thank everyone for their patient presence. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Your scintillating and spontaneous speech have actually expanded the territories of our knowledge, sir. Now, we call the scholars and other faculty members. If they have any doubts, they can ask our professor, Dr. P.V. Lakshmi Prasad. Students,
thank you very much, sir.
if you have any doubt, okay, you
Thank
can
you
ask.
very much. Thank you very much, madam, and thank you very much, PV sir, for your elaborative and encourative and really the content is very difficult and you made it very easy in a nutshell. Thank you very much. I have an ask that how can we write originality and improve our English? That is, you must have your own language, not decorative. In this regard, you explain, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Very
How do
good.
you improve your writing skills? Any question or should I answer this question? Madam, can you hear me, madam?
Any other question? Girls?
Madam.
Girls, if you have any doubts, you can clarify. Yes, sir? Yes, sir? Sir, tell
Anyone
me.
with the queries, please?
Let us
Anyone
know.
with the queries, please?
Girls, if you have any doubt, you can ask.
Any
Feedback
queries,
link
please?
will be given students. You can, any questions? Sir, your ideas are very clear, sir. Very clear. So they are well equipped with the very good knowledge. Today is a tremendous day for them. In a very simple way, you have presented very tough ideas. Thank you very much, sir. Girls, do you have any
Thank you.
doubts? If you have any doubts, you can ask sir. He is waiting for you only. See, the feedback link will be given to you students. You can collect them and you can give your feedback also. Ma'am? Ma'am, shall we go for vote of thanks, ma'am?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Shall we go, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, sir. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. And now I invite Mrs. Aishwarya, MPhil scholar, to propose vote of thanks. Aishwarya?
Okay, I'm here, ma'am.
Okay, you can start.
Good afternoon to all. Once a great man said, feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. Today, I take this opportunity to put all my gratitude into words. Let me first of all start by giving glory to the Almighty God for making today's session a resounding success. We have been fortunate enough to be assisted by our principal, who graced us with her presence and guidance. You have been a constant support and encouragement. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to express our profound gratitude to our beloved HOD, Dr. G.S. Angelin, for her moral support and guidance. Thank you for your valuable guidance and encouragement, ma'am. On behalf of M.V. Muthiah Government Arts College for Women, Dindigul, and all the students, I would like to thank our chief guest, Dr. P.V. Lakshmi Prasad, Assistant Professor, Department of English, University Arts College, Telangana, for taking this precious time out and consenting to be your chief guest. Sir, your endeared words have inspired the students. Thank you, sir, for sharing us your words of wisdom in a simple and elegant manner. I owe special gratitude to Dr. R. Kartika Devi, Assistant Professor, Organizing Secretary, who has worked hard to ensure that this occasion becomes a memorable success. Heartfelt thanks to our staff members who always stand by us, guide us, lead us, and motivate us. Finally, I thank all the students for your presence and cooperation and interest in this event. Once again, I thank all for your cordial cooperation. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am.
Yes, Kartika.
Sir, Lakshmi Prasad, sir. Thank you, sir. I will talk to
Thank
you
you.
later, sir. Okay.
Voice is breaking. Voice is breaking.
Can we? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I'm at your tight schedule that you came and supported us, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I am using mobile phone, ma'am. That may be the reason. That is why I'm.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Shall we leave, ma'am?
Yes,
Ma'am,
yes.
Shall we leave, ma'am?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. We can leave. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.